If AI can now do the very thing software companies charge hundreds or even thousands of dollars for, then the real question is not whether software stocks are down. The real question is whether the business model itself is quietly being rewritten. Our strategy approaches this through mechanisms, not headlines. When a major bank draws a line between software winners and losers, what matters is not the list. It is the transmission pathway behind it. The recent sell-off in software has not been random. It has followed a clear logic. If artificial intelligence can automate workflow tasks that were previously sold on a per-user basis, then seat-based revenue models face compression. That is not narrative. That is arithmetic. When fewer human seats are required to produce the same output, recurring revenue tied to headcount becomes structurally vulnerable. We are currently operating in a late-cycle compression phase within our framework, where valuation multiples are recalibrating toward business durability rather than pure growth. We would assign roughly a 65% probability that this repricing process continues through the middle of 2026, particularly for companies whose core product is describable in plain language and easily replicated by large language models. The next phase risk, with roughly a 25% probability by late 2026, is a sharper multiple reset if earnings expectations begin to lag reality. The deeper forced liquidity phase remains a lower probability scenario at this time, but it cannot be excluded if credit conditions tighten materially. The mechanism separating winners from losers is straightforward. Companies that own physical infrastructure, such as cloud data centers, or that are deeply embedded in regulatory systems where switching costs are high, are not easily displaced. Artificial intelligence increases demand for computing power, security layers, and data storage. That benefits infrastructure. By contrast, companies whose value proposition is workflow automation, document handling, tax form preparation, or basic bookkeeping are exposed if artificial intelligence can perform those tasks at lower cost with equal accuracy. That is not a judgment about management quality. It is a structural question about substitution risk. Midway through this discussion, it is important to state clearly that this is educational analysis, not investment advice, and it reflects probabilities rather than certainties. Markets are adaptive systems, and outcomes remain conditional. What we are watching now are confirmation signals. We monitor revenue commentary around seat compression. We watch gross margin stability for infrastructure providers. We track enterprise spending intentions and regulatory dependency. If infrastructure names continue to grow alongside artificial intelligence adoption, while workflow automation names show slowing user growth, that confirms the divergence thesis. If instead, artificial intelligence integration strengthens the incumbents more than expected, that would invalidate part of this framework. And if you find this type of mechanism-based analysis useful, consider subscribing. We focus on understanding how capital flows evolve across phases, so you can interpret risk shifts before they become consensus narratives. Returning to phase pressure, the repricing from approximately 50 times earnings down toward the high 20s across parts of software is not just valuation compression. It is the market reclassifying business models into durable infrastructure versus replaceable automation. That transition does not happen in a single quarter. It unfolds as enterprises test substitution, renegotiate contracts, and measure cost savings. The disciplined takeaway is not to react to fear or chase relief rallies. It is to ask three structural questions. Does the company own scarce physical infrastructure? Is it embedded in regulated systems where switching is costly? And does greater artificial intelligence usage increase demand for its services rather than replace them? Those answers determine durability. Our strategy remains focused on signals over stories. The market is not deciding whether artificial intelligence exists. It is deciding who benefits from its scale, and that decision will likely define the next phase of software leadership.